Welcome to the Faculty-Led Best Practices and Trends webinar. My name is Cecilia Hinkey, and I am a program specialist at RIT Education Abroad. My main role is to support faculty-led study abroad programs, so if you decide to pursue this opportunity, I will be your main point of contact at RIT Global. In this webinar, we will be sharing study abroad trends for the current year, RIT's goals and priorities for faculty-led programs, tips for putting together a successful and feasible proposal, and resources that our office provides to help you get started. We'll also go through next steps so you can have some action items on what to do next after you watch this webinar. Just a brief note, if you have not already, there is a 20-minute webinar called Faculty-Led Study Abroad Fundamentals, where this walks through the step-by-step process for developing a faculty-led study abroad program. And so I recommend watching this as well to understand the entire process from start to finish and other things you should consider, as well as the timeline for developing a program. I'd first like to take a moment to provide an overview about faculty-led programs at RIT. On an annual basis, we host about 20 to 25 faculty-led study abroad programs, and of these, usually each college at RIT hosts about 1 to 3 of those. Faculty-led programs are one of the most popular ways for students to study abroad. We see about 40 and even close to 50% of students that go abroad at RIT are participating in a faculty-led program. These programs are usually short-term. They're usually 1 to 4 weeks long abroad, but they can be longer. And we, this year, are hosting programs in several different countries. For instance, the Czech Republic, England, France, Guatemala, Germany, Italy, Japan, Peru, Spain, Sweden, and Taiwan. However, you are not limited to these locations. We have partnerships in over 40 different countries, and so we will work with you if you're not sure where to go yet. We'd be happy to work on you in identifying potential partners to help make that happen. And just a quick overview of how these programs are administered. They're all administered through the Education Abroad office. And we, however, do work really closely with the faculty's college on academic and course approvals, as well as the budget and financial aspects of the program. And then we also work with other departments on campus, such as risk management and legal, access services, the registrar's office. So a lot of resources and really a team effort goes into making these programs possible. And so we also want to be mindful of that and make sure that this program that you're thinking of can be sustainable and also align with RIT's strategic goals. We often get asked about running faculty-led study abroad programs to our global campuses. So I'd like to highlight the opportunities and also some challenges with having programs in these locations. As you may know, we have 2 locations in Croatia, and students can study abroad there for the fall or spring semester. And we also offer multiple direct enroll summer programs there. However, leading a faculty-led study abroad program to Croatia is not possible due to the taxes on the faculty's income, which makes this extremely expensive and simply just unsustainable to run these type of programs. We also have to be careful that programs are not competing against each other, and so we need to balance the number of programs that we're offering there. Dubai has a new state-of-the-art campus that specializes in academic fields such as engineering and business. So considering they have some of the most sustainable infrastructure practices, there are a lot of opportunities to offer faculty-led programs that focus on sustainability, for instance, or even art and design programs due to their unique architecture and art scene. However, keep in mind, due to the climate, it's not possible to host programs in the summer, including the month of May, due to the weather. So you would be limited to traveling there during winter break or perhaps even spring break. Our campus in Kosovo has a lot of potential. They currently host a summer program focused on peace and conflict studies, and they specialize in communications and media. Our campus in China is trying to get our business program off the ground there again since COVID, and so they do potentially have some good options for business topics. However, right now they just don't simply have the infrastructure to host faculty-led programs right now, but hopefully in the near future. There are also other ways to interact with our global campuses. You can also consider offering a zero credit experience, for instance. Perhaps it's a week-long workshop where students meet with different companies and organizations and cultural activities focused on a theme or academic topic. Then, aside from our global campuses, as I mentioned earlier, we have partnerships all around the globe. And in fact, with partners, we have over 60 different countries. And so there are many options where you can host your program. But the programs that we would like to see more of are these underrepresented locations that I have listed here. Europe does remain a top destination for students to study abroad. But since we already have several study abroad programs in Europe, we're interested in seeing some programs perhaps off the beaten track, or maybe something more likely located in Eastern Europe, such as Czech Republic or Poland. And, we actually, speaking of Europe, do not have really many programs in Iceland, or we could definitely have some more programs in England or Scotland. And then, of course, we would love to see more programs in Asia. Japan, specifically for RIT students, has become a really top destination, and South Korea is becoming, on a national level, of a point of interest for many students as well. We are looking for programs to be in Australia, New Zealand. Would very much like to have more of a global presence in Africa. So we are hosting a program this year. It's to Ghana. We're very excited about that. And then, what about the North or South America continents? We have Canada, not too far from here. Mexico or Peru would be great options. And hey, what about Antarctica? You never know. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about the location, and we're hoping to see some more variety in where we can go. So another study abroad trend that we're seeing is related to mental health. We are seeing an increase in mental health issues abroad. This may not be really surprising considering that mental health needs have increased across college campuses, but going abroad often can trigger conditions due to the added challenges of living in another country and experiencing culture shock. And, very recently we have had incidents where students had to come home early due to mental health issues. And in response, some of our partners abroad are expanding their mental health services to meet this increased need. So as a faculty director, you are often the main point of contact for students while they're abroad. And so our recommendation is to really just stay informed, educate yourself on how to recognize signs that a student may be struggling with their mental health, and to know what resources are available for the students. So if needed, you could help refer them to get help. And if you haven't already, there's a mental health first aid training that RIT typically offers throughout the year. So this will help you respond to if a student's having a mental health crisis, or to recognize the signs and symptoms and how to best approach that. So I do recommend any kind of training that would help you learn about mental health issues and how to work with students. That would be very helpful, especially if you're thinking about bringing students abroad. We are seeing more students with name changes and diverse gender identities. As a faculty director, it's important to understand how the country perceives or recognizes gender identity and other LGBTQ laws or issues that students should be aware of so they can make an informed decision about participating in your program. For instance, in some countries, it may not be legal to be openly out, or gay marriage may be banned, for instance, and maybe even any kind of activities related to that could be not safe for a student who identifies as LGBTQ, and so it may be in their best interest to avoid that country. Other things to consider in creating an inclusive program are rooming options. So you should not just assume that if a student is labeled as male or female, that they feel comfortable rooming with someone with the same gender. So we recommend following RIT's inclusive housing policy, and it's best practice to allow students to self-select their roommates. And keep in mind, though, that gender inclusive accommodations may be more limiting abroad. For instance, some places may not have gender neutral bathrooms, or in some countries, such as in Dubai or the UAE, rooming with someone of the opposite gender, if you're not married, is actually illegal. So being aware of any type of regulations such as these in that country is also very important. And some other things that you may want to consider for students that have different gender identities is things like name changes or gender changes on their travel documents. So these need to match things like their passport, airline tickets, and other reservations. And recently, the U.S. allows you to select X as a gender option on your passport, but some countries do not recognize that as a gender, and so they may not allow you to enter the country. So it's important to be aware of that to see how a student may need to navigate that type of scenario. So overall, it's important just to do your research about gender and LGBTQ issues in the country you're going to, and to share some of these resources that are available for students, like the RIT's Women, Gender, and Sexuality Resource Center. There's other organizations called, one is Diversity Abroad, that has some helpful resources. And the Department of State also has a travel advisory country page, and it has specific laws are important to be aware of, as well as LGBTQ plus travel tips. So sharing those with the students and getting to know those resources will be helpful for navigating and supporting students with diverse gender identities. We are seeing a high interest of graduate students who would like to go study abroad. And typically, since grad students may be non-traditional students, perhaps a lot of them are working full-time or have families that they're caretakers for, it's unlikely that they really can go for a full semester. So a faculty-led program, which is typically only anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, is a really great option for graduate students. But most grad students are not interested in taking an undergraduate course. So if you are teaching an undergraduate course and thinking about turning that course into a faculty-led study abroad program, you could consider offering a grad course equivalent. So this would really open it up to grad students, and they can take credit towards their degree program. Not to mention, it'll also open it up to even more students to help meet those minimum enrollment numbers for your program to run. In anticipation of the proposal deadline on April 15th, we'd like to highlight our ongoing goals for faculty-led programs and provide some insights about the type of programs that we're prioritizing. We'd also like to stress the importance of creating programs that are feasible and sustainable, since putting together A new program takes a lot of time and resources. So please be sure to work closely with our office and your college leadership before the proposal deadline so we can make sure that you submit a strong proposal that will be successful. And so to summarize our goals and priorities, our overall goal is to offer diverse, sustainable, impactful, inclusive, and accessible faculty-led study abroad programs that are unique to RIT. So that is a mouthful, so let me break this down for you. We prioritize programs that are unique to RIT so we can capitalize on RIT's strengths, such as in the creative field and STEM fields, but also to leverage the career-oriented culture at RIT by creating more professionalized experiences abroad. For example, programs such as REVIT in Sweden or World Building in Spain are project-based, and students complete the program with something tangible they can add to their portfolio or resume. In the program REVIT in Sweden, students design a cafe inspired by the Scandinavian designs and incorporate cultural factors that may influence the designs. And these designs have been presented at the Global Learning Symposium, so students can really gain that professional experience presenting their projects, and it's something they can add to their resume. We had faculty lead a program to Spain where students practice art of storytelling inspired by the cultural complexities of medieval Spain. And they had an exhibit last year at Imagine RIT that showcased their academic achievements to the RIT community and to the Greater Rochester community as well. So we find that students are often looking for internships to complement their international experiences. So if you can incorporate ways in your program to connect students with industry experts, company visits, or simply tying that study abroad course with how it relates to their discipline or major, so they can really see the value of that. So maybe it's not a direct connection to the course, but if you can, if your topic is on the fashion industry and a student is studying computer science, maybe the focus, one of the sites could be a visit to a company that works on AI technology and monitoring sales and reporting to increase the profit of the company. So how does these different majors relate to that topic, and why should they care? So thinking about diversifying the type of places that you go and learn about. You can also incorporate professionalized experiences, so things like maybe students could job shadow, or maybe they interact with local students. For instance, Stephen Jacobs leads a game design program to Germany, and students will tour game industries, and then they have a game jam with local students. So they really get to learn firsthand about the dynamic gaming industry in Japan, and that is what's really going to make such an impactful learning experience and something these students will not forget. Another example I can give you is the Automotive Electronics in Germany program. This is where students meet with leaders in the automotive electronics field. And then they also have the opportunity to network with industry experts and just gain that hands-on experience related to their studies in another cultural context. Developing a new study abroad program takes a lot of time, effort, and resources, anywhere from the academic approvals to developing the course and then the itinerary for the travel portion, risk management assessments and contracts. So we really want to prioritize programs that have the capability of running more than once in the same location so that we're not having to reinvent the wheel time and time again. And so ideally a program must have the feasibility of running more than once, not to say it has to be every year, but ideally maybe it's a program that can run every other year. And so one other thing to think about is maybe having more than one faculty member involved so the program can continue even if the lead faculty can no longer lead the program or perhaps would like to take a break and let someone else take the reins. So collaborating with another faculty member when proposing a program could be really helpful. And faculty have done this by being a co-instructor for the same course, or one is the primary instructor and other faculty member can really just be involved with the travel portion of the course. Or you can also rotate faculty every time the program runs. So perhaps one takes the lead and the following year another faculty takes the lead, and that will just get more faculty engaged in the process. And then we're also looking for programs that have the potential to have a high enrollment of students. Our student minimum for a program to run is 8, but to get those 8 confirmed students to go, we really need 16 to 20 applications because we often see about 50% of those applicants will drop out when it comes time to commit. So our minimum is 8, but that's to really get a program off the ground. And over the years, we'd like to see that to continue to increase. And, we'd like to see programs that really could host anywhere from 16 to 20 students. So that's really a good indicator that the program is lasting long term and help further our goals of increasing these international experiences for students. And I will say too, the other benefit of repeating programs is the word of mouth. You build that momentum and students hear about it. It builds this reputation and they can plan ahead and know that they have this opportunity to do this incredible program. So that's really helpful. Another key element of a sustainable program is when the study abroad course can count towards a student's degree requirements, such as a major course, a minor, an immersion, or a gen ed elective. They're more inclined to participate in a program if it counts towards their degree requirements, of course, and really keeps on track with graduation. So electives are definitely an option, but we prefer these programs that can count towards also multiple degree requirements to attract more students. So in the event, sometimes electives do make sense. They could be more acceptable if it's on a timely topic. Maybe the program, for instance, is focused on Black Lives Matter. And so having a specialized topic like that on a timely issue would make sense. So considering the numerous programs we offer every year, we also have to be careful that these programs aren't competing against one another and possibly diluting the pool of student applicants, which could risk the chances of either program running due to low enrollment. So we carefully evaluate each program to make sure that we don't have competition amongst them. For instance, we've had 2 faculty-led programs running to Italy focused on art and design. So these programs could potentially, compete for the same cohort of students. But sometimes a program might not compete with a faculty-led program necessarily, but perhaps it could be competing with one of our programs at our global campuses or our other affiliate programs. So, one year we tried offering a program to the Balkans about peace and conflict, but this was in direct competition with our global campus's summer program in Kosovo. So the program ended up not running due to low student enrollment. So if you're concerned about your program competing with a similar one, we may recommend that you rotate your program so that maybe you offer it on the year that this other competing program is offered on alternating years. So that could be one solution if that is a concern. So studying abroad may be one of the most impactful experiences students will have during their college career. And although that could be the case, it's still important to be intentional about how this experience will be impactful and how can you make it more of an immersive experience. So we really want these programs that look to provide opportunities for students to be immersed in the culture and to develop cultural competency skills by being introduced to new ideas and perspectives. So they will be better prepared for their academic and professional careers. So we know that this ultimately happens with experiential learning, which is what study abroad is all about. But here are some ways that you can try to be more intentional in implementing these types of interactions in your program. So a lot of times, like we said before, faculty-led programs are short-term. They're only about 2 to 4 weeks. And so, it's unrealistic to consider that students will be really, diving deep into learning the language, but there's all sorts of other ways for them to have meaningful interactions and mutual beneficial exchanges between locals and students. So some examples of this are when students have done a project with students at another university, and they're really working towards the same goal, and they may be working with them virtually throughout the semester, and then when they go abroad to complete the project. For instance, Professor Shackelford leads the Transnational Workshop Program to Paris, and students meet virtually throughout the spring semester to work on a digital storytelling project, and then the RIT students travel to Paris for a week to complete the project with their French peers. So it doesn't necessarily have to be as involved as this. It could be as simple as incorporating a lunch with local students so they have the opportunity to interact with the locals and get to see what students' lives are like in another country. It's very easy for students to stay in their RIT circle, especially when you're traveling with a group. So to encourage ways for them to interact with people outside the program in safe spaces is a great way to open that door and have them discover these different ways of living. So in addition to introducing the students to local culture, it's just as important for them to interact with a diverse range of people that perhaps relate to the academic topic and focus of the program. So maybe you have a program focused on peace building, such as the one that we did a few years ago through the honors program, which was about war and peace in the Balkans. And students met with a different range of community leaders and heard perspectives all the way from the grassroots perspective to the top level government issues, and they went to different geographic regions around the country to hear from journalists or religious leaders, NGOs, and they learned about all the different perspectives and diverse views of what happened during the war, but also what they are doing now to reconcile those issues and to build peace. So these were, especially meaningful for the students, and they really received a more well-rounded viewpoint of the diversity of that country as well. So creating a program focused on real-world issues and timely topics can especially be impactful. For instance, climate change is an issue that's affecting everyone, and this could be looked at in a lot of different contexts. One Professor Betsy Dell, is running a program to Ireland where students learn about sustainable engineering practices, and the goal would be they can take some of these best practices about sustainability and incorporate them into different ideas and ways of doing things here in the U.S. So looking at these global topics, and especially too, would be more attractive to students who are really interested in pursuing these type of fields. So thinking of what those timely topics are right now, what are those buzzwords that would really grab students' attention and have that relevancy with them that really speaks to their passion is going to help get those students to join your program. In terms of diverse programs, in essence, we like to have a robust and diverse portfolio of program offerings, which includes many factors, such as having programs in a variety of countries and locations. We also want to have fair representation across the colleges at RIT offering these study abroad programs and having a variety of disciplines. And we also do want to have diverse representation amongst the faculty who are developing and leading these programs abroad, as well as those students who are participating in these programs. So we consider all of these factors when assessing the needs and feasibility of faculty-led programs. It's also our goal to create inclusive and accessible programs. We want to have programs that attract and accommodate a wide array of students from diverse backgrounds, especially students who are traditionally underrepresented in study abroad, such as students of color, students with disabilities, deaf or hard of hearing students, LGBTQ+, low income, or first generation students. So what does an accessible and inclusive program look like? Well, it can look like many things, and that's not just in terms of creating inclusive programs with people with disabilities or minority populations, but also by the program design in and of itself. So we could probably spend a whole other session on this topic, so I'm going to highlight just a few things. For instance, cost or financials can be a major barrier for students, so whether they're real or perceived, and so we need to be mindful of this while still maintaining the quality and the safety of the program. Our office and many colleges at RIT provide study abroad scholarships for high needs students, and this does help offset the study abroad costs and create more equitable programs. But there also are factors in the program design that could help reduce the cost, such as the type of program model, the length of time in country. The longer the program is abroad, the more expensive it'll be, and the amount of traveling to multiple locations. If you're going to 3 or 4 different cities or countries, that's going to significantly increase the cost, and so that's something to keep in mind. And if cost is a concern, we will work with you to see where we can find cost-saving measures that don't significantly impact the quality and safety of the program. Another thing is timing. Other barriers to consider, for instance, if the program occurs in the middle of the in the middle of the summer, and the majority of students who'd be a good fit for this are doing co-ops during the summer, then this might not be a great idea. So that would significantly reduce how many students would be able to participate in that program. So the timing of your program is an important indicator to think about, not to mention that the tuition dollars over the summer, and most students, if you're part-time, would not be eligible for financial aid. So that's something to consider. Language, being able to communicate in the host country can provide a much more immersive and impactful experience. But if the program is not primarily about learning a foreign language, then requiring a language prerequisite will just significantly decrease the potential of students who would be eligible for your program. So depending on the program topic or the course, you may want to weigh the pros and cons of having a language requirement. But in most cases, our faculty-led study abroad programs do not have a language requirement, of course, except if it's focused on developing those language skills. And in general, any kind of prerequisite will just limit the possible pool of applicants. So something to consider if it's a more advanced course that you're thinking about. And, we're interested in running programs that are designed to attract underrepresented students to help close the gap in study abroad. So think about things like the location, the program topic, or even the name of the program can attract the type of students' interest in the program. For instance, the program that we're offering this year in Ghana is focused on West African culture, and so they'll likely attract students who identify as African American or who are more interested in learning about their cultural heritage. Or you can brand the program focused on identity. I have some examples here for queer studies and LGBTQ plus in London, sexual communication in the Netherlands, or Paris Noir. These are going to, really let students know that, oh, this program is for me, is for someone like me. So that's an example of how you can kind of market your program to attract students who are traditionally underrepresented. So I think that covers, in essence, like I said, this is a big topic, but for now, those are just some things to consider to ensure that your program that you're proposing is accessible and inclusive. So I'd like to go over some basic tips for putting together a successful proposal. First tip is start planning early. So if you didn't know, faculty-led programs take at least a year in advance of planning before departure, and even longer depending on the type of program model, such as a travel enhancement. So you may find that you need more time to develop your program. So perhaps as you're starting to explore this concept, maybe this year you do a site visit, and next year you'll be more ready to put a proposal together to submit by the April 15th deadline. So next step really for putting together a successful proposal is meeting with us, with RIT Global, and talking through your idea so we can provide suggestions and make sure your program sounds feasible and meets our goals and the college's goals. So it's also important to include your college's leadership in these discussions, such as your department chair and study abroad liaison. And ultimately, the department chair and dean will need to provide the academic approval and sign off on this proposal, accepting it. So you will need to make sure that they're on board with what you're trying to do. And the aligning with RIT's goals. So yeah, we went through these main goals of RIT's with making sure this program is sustainable, promotes diversity, it's unique to RIT, and accessible to students. And I'd say maybe of those, the top thing we're really looking for is sustainability. So again, it has the capability of running more than once, maybe not every year, but at least every other year. It can attract a large cohort of students. And we also want to make sure that it's not competing with other existing study abroad programs. So again, that's how would you know that? So you would have to meet with us to share your idea, and we can let you know if there's any concerns about it competing with other programs. So the other thing is the course and location. It's really important that the location directly ties in with the course topic. So you really should be able to articulate how the location will further enhance the learning outcomes of the course and how the country's culture or history or socio-political context will really enlighten the course topics and provide this experiential learning opportunity. And the course is also important too, because deciding on what course would be part of a good strategy. Selecting a course that already is popular at RIT is a good start to help ensure that you meet those minimum enrollment numbers. Or maybe if it's a new course, it can count towards several different degree requirements across several different majors or minors. So maybe counts towards a minor or immersion or a general education perspective. So that will open it up to more students instead of just specific degree programs. So we also want to hear how what your expertise are in and what you know about the country and what your experience is with traveling or leading a group of students abroad. And if you haven't been to the country before, this is perhaps where you can mention your plans to do a site visit to learn more about the country or develop further relationships with possible partners abroad. We do have a list of preferred university and educational partners that we can recommend to you. They are a great resource for arranging not just the logistical things that you will need to get sorted for students, such as the housing, transportation, and cultural or educational activities. They can provide things like guest lecturers and connect you with local experts to do site visits and things like that. So we prefer you work with these partners because they've already been vetted by risk management. We already have working agreements with them. And so we'd like to start with our existing partnerships before we consider exploring new ones. And it also may be a good idea to talk with other faculty directors who have led programs abroad. So if you'd like to speak with other faculty who have this experience, please feel free to reach out to me and I can connect you. So how do we help you? So like I said, yeah, we can identify partners abroad to provide logistical support, different cultural expertise, different academic components, the guest lectures and be site visits to local companies or organizations or cultural sites, and that's something to keep in mind. We can provide feedback on the feasibility of your program. We also provide a lot of administrative support. We manage all of the student applications, help with registering the students for the course. We manage all the student billing, the scholarships, all the contracts. And we work with the college on your college's finance team to manage the budget. We work with risk management to provide assessments and recommendations so we can deliver safe programs abroad. And we also provide digital and print marketing materials to help you recruit students for your program. And we do heavily rely on faculty to help with promoting their program and recruiting students. So we can only do so much. We have dozens and dozens of programs we run every year. So we do some personalized email marketing that is pretty effective, but we find what's most effective is students hearing from you about the program, since you know your program the best. And so that's something to think about. We'll work with you in helping you get the resources you need to help promote that. We offer scholarships for students with high financial need, anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And also we offer scholarship advising for some of our more competitive national study abroad scholarships. And as I mentioned earlier, there is funding towards site visits. So if you'd like to do a site visit, we have a grant app, it's a different grant proposal that you can apply for. Not this one, not the phase 1 proposal, but I'd be happy to follow up with more information about that. And then our office does cover the travel costs for faculty directors. So as long as you have an 8-student minimum, we will cover the cost of one faculty member's travel expenses. If you get up to 16 students, we will cover a second. So that's also the kind of support we have, which helps reduce the student program fee, so makes it more cost effective for students. And we have more resources. We have a robust amount of resources on our website. It's in a section titled Leading a Faculty-Led Program. So check that out, as there's a lot more information on there. So what to do from here? Like I said, if you haven't watched the Faculty-Led Fundamentals webinar, please do so. That will walk you step by step of the developmental process from start to finish. If we haven't met already, please contact me to meet and talk about your idea. And also, I recommend meeting with your study abroad liaison and the department chair. The phase 1 proposal is due April 15th, but also keep in mind if you are a faculty member in NTID or COLA, they have additional application steps and may have earlier deadlines than April 15th. So please contact the college's study abroad liaison to learn more about that. After the proposal deadline, we will be reviewing all of the proposals and then following up with you for the next steps and any other additional feedback. So this may include things like recommending a site visit, or if we're ready to go with the next step, that would be completing the phase 2 form for risk management. That would complete the vetting to be aware of any kind of travel advisories or considerations for transportation and housing. So with that, we would also be starting on developing the itinerary and cost estimates for putting together the program budget. The itinerary and budget and risk management review all take several months, and this doesn't even include some of the other things like some of the contracts that we have to start. So we'd really want to hit the ground running at the start of summer and be working with you throughout the summer so we can get most of these steps done before the start of the fall semester, so we have all the information we need to start getting the word out to students so we can help meet those enrollment numbers for your program to run. So overall, we'll be following up with you in the next few weeks after the submission deadline with the next steps. That is the end of my presentation. Again, my name is Cecilia Hinke. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to email me, and I will look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.